Discussed what is business rule engine, and today we are going to understand yet another topic called context service. So this one is very much, you will see it in most of the topics related to revenue cloud. So what is it? Let's try to understand. Okay, so what happens whenever there is a price calculation happening? Okay, basically context service, it acts as a layer. Okay, our pricing procedures, which basically helps us to calculate the prices or any other business process. Okay, they don't know different objects, they just go to this context service. This is a small layer in between which acts as a bridge between the database and the application. So what it will do is, so any pricing procedure which is responsible for that pricing calculation or any other business process, okay, it will not be aware about a quote line item, or it will not be aware about a quote or an order or different objects, it's not aware. So revenue cloud follows a structure such that for individual objects it is not aware where are these different objects or what are the fields present in these different objects. It is always going to context service, and this context service responsibility is to get the information with the help of context generation, context definition. Let me try to break it into smaller parts. Imagine there is a field, this field is present on quote line item, this field is, say the name is special price. Okay, this is present on quote line item. When the pricing is happening, the calculation is happening, the pricing procedure does not know that what is quote line item or what is this field known as special price on quote line item. It will go and check that what is present in this context definition. If it is looking for special price, in the backend we need to make sure that there is a tag created for special price, which this context definition will be able to look for. And this way it is not interested into from where this particular special price is coming, whether it is coming from order object or it's coming from quote line object. It is only interested in getting the value of that special price, which is a tag that we are going to create on the context definition level. Okay, let's divide it, let's further try to make it more sense. So let's do one thing. I am right now, so what I have done is that I have in on this quote line item, okay, this is in the object manager, I have created a field which is special price. So special price is one of the custom fields on the quote line item. Okay, so now what happens, first of all, how you will be able to see context definitions in your org. So you need, in the setup you need to search for context settings, you need to on the settings. After refreshing your window, you will be able to search for context definitions. Once you click on the context definition, this is something that you will get right now. Okay, all right, so what will happen, these are all some standard context definition that Salesforce has given us. Why Salesforce has given us? Because it's a common mechanism, it's a data layer that will have the access to the objects such that it will not this will help other processes to not waste their time and understand that from which object, from which field this information is coming, because our processes are not interested from where they are coming, all they need is a value. So how we usually do it, for example, this is sales transaction context. So this is one of the context definition. How you usually use it, so we have we have two options. One is that you extend it, another is to clone it. What happens if you extend it? So whenever there is a new feature that comes into place, automatically your whatever you will create after extending it, it will need no new further update, it Salesforce automatically will handle. If it's a clone, then it will not be handled by Salesforce. So always we need to click on extend. Okay, this way we will be able to kind of copy along with the feature capabilities to get it updated. So in this scenario, what I have done, I have extended this sales transaction context. Now what will happen, once you extend it, you will find your custom context definition, which is the custom one that right now you just created. So in this scenario, I have created this one, which is RCA sales transaction context. This is RCA I have added before this sales transaction context. So what it is doing basically, let's try to divide the part. So first of all, we should be clear what is context definition. Context definition acts as a layer that will let the business processes directly provide the information that they need without business processes being worried about from where this information is coming and which object is basically used here. This is one thing. So we have learned about context definition. Then comes what like basically what are nodes, what are sub nodes. So on the screen, if you notice that this is the structure that you see, nodes and subnodes. So in this scenario, if you notice the ones present over here, this is asset rate card entry. So similarly we have sales transaction item. So what I have seen in some of the videos that I have learned from, whenever you are interested into mapping, say you want to map order line item or order, or similarly quote line item or quote, because we will talk about quote line item for this scenario, because there is this field special price that I have created on quote line item object. That is the reason that when I will go to this context definition, these are the nodes and the sub nodes. Think of them in a scenario like these are kind of categories, such that this sales transaction is, it will have the parent object, which is, for the scenario if we talk about quote and quote line item, so this sales transaction is nothing but the parent object, which is like quote in the scenario. And since now there is a custom field that I created on the quote line item, sales transaction has sales transaction item, which will be further related to quote line item. So sales transaction item is a sub node which will be related to quote line item object. Okay, so what we have to do is, on the nodes or sub nodes, depending upon our requirement, we create attributes. Now what is an attribute? So when you click on this edit option, you have this edit option, or you see here, these are when I'll click on this sales transaction item, because in this scenario I've created for the quote line item, right? So you will notice at the end that there is this special price. This special price is nothing but it's a kind of attribute that I have created. Okay, this one I have created, and we need to give what will be the date, what would be the display name, what would be the type, whether it's an input or only output, what is the data type. This is the attribute tells that what kind of like it will tell basically the information related to this field that we are going to add. So it has automatically taken underscore c. I have only written special price at the time when I was creating. I have given it a number because I am storing this special price in the form of number. Now this is how we create the attribute. So till now we should be clear that what is a node, represents a business entity. So as I was telling you, sales transaction is kind of mapped to quote, order, these objects. Sales transaction item will be mapped to order line item, these objects. And subnode is nothing but sales transaction item is what we call as the child entity of the node. So this is what subnode is. Then comes attribute is something that we create in the nodes or subnodes. So it's a data element that will have some information. We will give the data type and whatever the purpose is. So similarly we have created an attribute in now the next step is to create a tag. What is a tag? So remember we used to give nicknames, right? So this is the same nickname that we are giving to our attribute. If you go back, okay, let me cross this one. So if now we go back and see that this is all attributes, right? This is all attributes. In the tags, if you will notice, these are the attribute tags. Attribute tags are nothing. So if you will go in this sales transaction item, I have also added a tag for special price. So you simply need to go to this edit button, and in the context tags you will get the capability. It will be written add tag, or you need to add the tag. That's it. So till now this tag point should be clear, which means that basically whenever our pricing procedure or any business process will call this tag, then it needs to understand that this is the same tag that it is going to refer. Now in the end it comes what is mapping, right? How we are going to map. Till now we know that it's a, what are the context, what is the attribute name, what is the tag. Now we need to map, right? This was the code line item ka this custom field that we created, and now we need to map it. How we do the mapping? We do the mapping with the help of map data. Map data we need to go. So what I have observed is that whenever you want to make changes in code line item, okay, so in that scenario you need to go to this mapping. If you wanted to make some changes in the transaction related to order line item, you would have gone to this mapping. You can refer to Salesforce documentation for the same. In our scenario, the reason we are going to code entities mapping is because this is where our object will be present. Let me show you the object. How we need to click here, go here, edit as object. We need to click on map. Now on the mapping, this is how you can see. So in this again the same nodes are coming, right? So as I told you that we are already on the quote entities mapping. Quote entities mapping contains sales transaction. So if you notice on the left side, when I click on sales transaction, automatically on the right hand side this quote is being selected. When I click on sales transaction item, automatically this quote line item is selected. Okay, this is how when you click here. Okay, at the same time, if you will see now, this quote line item object is already open, which means this is mapped to this object, which means that whatever attribute now I will choose. So the attribute which we created in the previous screen, which was special price, now you can select from here all the fields that are present under the quote line item. You can map them directly. So in our scenario, I have already mapped the special underscore price underscore underscore C, and we need to save it and activate this context definition to make it work, and we can use this tag in our procedures accordingly. Okay, and basing on the requirement we can perform certain actions. So similarly, one of the doubts during learning that I thought was that sometimes we are opening quote entities mapping and then going to sales transaction items, and if you notice that there is this orders entities mapping as well. So if you check its mapping, click on this map button. On the similar note, go to this switch view kind of item and click here on the sales transaction for order entities. So if you see, the object that we will be able to map is this order in this scenario. So if you have a field for which you need to map related to the order, so you are going to use this particular thing. If you want to do something for order item, you are going to use sales transaction item of order entities mapping. So I hope we are good with what is tag and how we do the mapping. Okay, now what are the different types of mapping we do? So within the mapping, basically, if you have seen, depending upon the business requirement, sometimes we only want to read the data, right, from that Salesforce object. So in that scenario, hydration is one of the types. So if you will notice, this mapping intents is written here in front. So if you click on this, you will be able to see hydration, persistence, association, and translation. So what does all of them means? Hydration means that it loads the data from the source and it's a read only one. Persistence is it is able to change the data, and if there is a scenario that you have to first read it, then change it, and then send it back, which is a kind of round trip, so you are going to use both of them. Then comes translation. Translation is when there is a scenario that you have to move from one status of one object or one context to another context object. We have different mappings for code to order as well that you can refer for Salesforce documentation. So in that scenario, we are going to use translation. And for the scenario when we have some custom logic and we are not moving data across different objects, then we are going to use association. So overall, what we have understood is that nodes to object mapping. So that sales transactions, if you noticed this structure, these are the nodes, these are the sub nodes. They all are linked to objects, right? And this attribute that we created, right? Attribute is something that you create here, this input output and all that stuff, this special price. So attribute is linked to field, the custom field. I hope we understood what does this entire logic is all about. Thank you and have a great day.